You're listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm your host Nina, a mindful parenting coach and mum, here to help you go from overwhelmed and reactive to calm, confident and connected with your kids. This show is for parents who want to raise their children with more patience, less stress and a whole lot more joy. Because small shifts make a big impact and you can build the parenting life you've always wanted. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at Mindful Parenting Lifestyle, and don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Welcome back to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm so glad you're here. If you've been listening along, you'll know that we've been exploring what it means to parent with more connection, more patience, and more calm, even in those messy everyday moments. We've talked about why connection is so important for kids, why emotional regulation can be so hard, and how a simple pause can shift everything. And today, we're digging into a really important piece of the puzzle, listening. Not just hearing the words, but really, truly listening. And let's be honest, listening sounds simple, but in practice, it can feel really hard. So in this episode, the first of a two-part series, I want to talk about why that is. What gets in the way of listening? Why do we sometimes struggle to be present, to hold space, to hear our kids when they're trying to tell us something important? We'll unpack the barriers, those sneaky habits that slip in and block true connection. And then next week, we'll explore how to do it differently. How to listen in a way that helps our kids feel safe, seen, and understood. So let's start by imagining a common scenario. It's the end of the day. Your child walks through the door, throws their bag on the floor and says, "No one wanted to play with me today." You can tell they're upset. Maybe they're holding back tears. Maybe their shoulders are slumped or they've gone really quiet. It's a moment where they're offering you a little window into their world, hoping you'll see them, hear them, and understand. But so often, without meaning to, we put up roadblocks that stop that connection. The first roadblock is ordering. Your child says that no one wanted to play with them, and you say, "Don't talk like that," or "Don't say that, just go over and make friends." It's not that we don't care, it's that we're juggling so much and we just want to keep the day moving. But what your child feels in the moment is, "My feelings don't matter. I need to push them down and just keep going." And they might stop coming to you with their big feelings because they learn that there's no space for them here. Then there's threatening. Your child says, "No one wanted to play with me today," and we respond with, "Well, if you keep being bossy, no one will ever want to play with you." We think we're motivating them, but what they feel is fear. Fear that their feelings aren't okay. Fear that there's something wrong with them. Fear that they need to fix themselves before they're allowed to feel sad. It's a scary, lonely place for a child to be. Then we have advising. So your child shares, "No one wanted to play with me today." And we jump in with, "Well, why don't you ask someone else tomorrow?" Or "Take a ball to school and start a game with someone." We do this because we care. We want to help. We hate seeing our kids so sad and upset. And deep down, we just want to make the problem go away. But here's the thing. When we step in like this, we're actually taking the power away from our child. We're saying, "I'll solve this for you because you can't figure it out yourself." And what they feel is, "This isn't safe to talk about. Mum just wants to fix it. She doesn't really want to hear about how I'm feeling." They start to feel like their feelings are a problem to be solved instead of something that's valid and worth holding space for. And they miss the chance to learn how to work through their feelings and figure things out for themselves. Okay. Now let's switch to another common parenting moment. It's later in the day and the kids are arguing over a toy. One's yelling, "It's mine!" and the other shouting back, "No, I had it first." You can feel the tension rising. You're trying to cook dinner. You've had a long day and you just want the noise to stop. All of a sudden, your eldest child comes running, shouting, "Mum, he won't give me my toy back." This is when blaming can slip in. It often comes out when we're tired, stressed, or just desperate for the noise to stop. The kids are arguing over a toy and we snap, "You never share your toys. Why are you so selfish?" Or maybe we say, "You're always starting fights. Why can't you just be nice to your brother?" In that moment, it might feel like we're telling the truth. We might think, well, they are being selfish, or yeah, they are always fighting. But here's the thing. What our child hears isn't, "You made a bad choice today." It's, "You are bad. You are the problem." And that's when the shame seeps in. They think, there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm the difficult one. And when kids feel shame, they do one of two things. They shut down, go quiet, withdraw into themselves, or they lash out even more because they feel misunderstood and unseen. Either way, it makes the situation harder, not easier. Now, as I'm talking through these roadblocks, you might be thinking, "Oh, wow, I do that. I've done that." I want you to know that you're not alone. We all fall into these habits sometimes, and I still do. That's why I've created a little freebie to go with this episode, a simple roadblocks tracking sheet. It lists each of the roadblocks we're talking about, like advising or blaming, for example, with space for you to jot down when you notice them showing up. It's not about judgment. It's just a gentle way to start noticing your patterns so that you can begin to shift them over time. You can download it for free in the show notes to grab your copy. It's a small tool, but it can make a big difference in your awareness. Okay, back to our roadblocks. Name calling is another one that sneaks in when we're tired, overwhelmed, or just running out of patience. So the kids are fighting over a toy, emotions are high, and we snap, "Stop being such a baby. You're acting like a little brat." Sometimes it's more subtle, like saying, "Only babies cry," or "Come on, don't be a sook." These words slip out because we're frustrated or because we grew up hearing the same phrases ourselves. I have to admit, I will often call my kids grumpy bumps. But what our child feels in that moment is small. They feel humiliated, shamed, and like their emotions make them weak or wrong or even unlovable. They might stop sharing their feelings altogether because they think, if I show my sadness or fear, I'll be called a baby or a sook. Or they might start believing that big emotions, especially tears, are something to hide. And this is so important. When we tell our child, even indirectly, that only babies or girls cry, we're teaching them that emotions have to be stuffed down, ignored, or hidden away. And that's the last thing we want. Because when feelings are stuffed down, they don't go away. They just bubble under the surface until they explode. Our final roadblock is dismissing. Your child comes in shouting, "Mum, he won't give me my toy back." And we, feeling overwhelmed, might say, "Oh, here we go again, just ignore him." Or, "You two are always fighting, figure it out yourselves." Or maybe it sounds like, "Oh, stop being so dramatic, it's just a toy, get over it." Sometimes it's more subtle. We might go quiet. We might focus on cooking dinner or pretend we don't hear them, hoping the storm will pass on its own. But what our kids feel in this moment is dismissed. They feel like, "Mum doesn't care. My feelings aren't important. I'm on my own in this. If I bring her my problems, she'll just brush them off, so I'd better stop bothering her." And that's a really lonely place to be. When their emotions aren't seen or when we brush them off as silly, they don't learn how to work through them. They just learn to push those feelings down. Or they might shout louder, hoping someone will finally notice. And just to show you that this isn't just about kids, let's look at an adult example. Imagine you tell your partner, "Oh, I'm feeling really overwhelmed at work." And they respond with, "Well, you should just have spoken up in that meeting," or "You really need to manage your time better." Did you pick which roadblock your partner's used? Yeah, that's the classic advising again. And it leaves you feeling dismissed, misunderstood, and unsupported. It just doesn't feel good, and it's not what you needed in that moment. So let's take a moment to quickly recap those roadblocks that we've talked about today. Ordering, when we give instructions instead of hearing the feelings. Threatening, when we try to control with consequences. Advising, when we jump in with fixes instead of sitting with their feelings. Blaming, when we make it about their character instead of the moment. Name calling, when we label them or make fun of their emotions. And finally, dismissing, when we brush off their feelings or pretend that we don't hear them at all. When we use these roadblocks, often without realising it, we're cutting off the flow of communication. We're sending the message, your feelings aren't safe here, I'm not really open to hearing what's going on for you. And when kids sense that, they stop talking. They stop sharing. They might push their feelings down, or they might get louder and more dramatic in the hope that we'll finally notice. But either way, it creates disconnect. We miss the chance to understand what's really going on for them, and they miss the chance to feel heard, supported, and valued. That's why it's so important to start noticing these patterns, because when we see them, we can start to change them. So here's your take-home action, your small shift for this week. I want you to simply notice. Notice when these patterns show up, whether it's ordering, threatening, advising, blaming, name-calling, or dismissing. Notice what happens in those moments. Notice how your child seems to feel. Do they get quieter? Do they push back harder? Do they shut down? You don't have to change anything yet. Just notice. That's the first step. And don't forget that to help with this, I've created the simple roadblocks tracking sheet. It has each of the roadblocks we've talked about today with space for you to jot down when you notice them happening. It's a gentle way to build your awareness and start spotting your patterns. You can download it for free from the show notes. And if you feel like sharing what you're noticing, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message on Instagram, tag me in your stories, or reach out for a chat. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with an important reminder. Please don't beat yourself up if you realised that you've been using some or all of these roadblocks. We all have. I've done it. We're human, and we bring to parenting what we know. If you've been giving advice when your child needed empathy, or you've dismissed their feelings because you were tired and overwhelmed, it does not mean that you failed. It just means you're doing the best you could with the tools you had at the time. And now that you have this new awareness, you can start to make gentle shifts. Noticing is the first step. That's it. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You're learning, you're growing, and that's what matters most. You're doing an incredible job, even when it feels messy. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to keep walking alongside you on this parenting journey. If you're feeling like you need a bit more support, remember that you can book an SOS parenting support call with me. Sometimes it just helps to have someone walk alongside you while you figure it out. Next week, we'll talk about what to do instead of using those roadblocks. I'll share simple, practical listening skills that can help you connect with your kids in those tricky moments. Until then, take care of yourself and remember, you are doing the best you can, and that is enough, my friend. Thanks for listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I am so glad you're here, and I hope this episode gave you something useful to take into your parenting journey. If you'd like to dive deeper, sign up to my mailing list at mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au for more tips and insights, or book a free chat to learn how we can work together. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I look forward to speaking with you next time on Your Calm Parenting Path.